I formally open this special town meeting and call it to order. I have determined that a quorum is present. I've examined the return of the warrant and find that it's in order. At this point, those of you who are comfortable, I'd ask you to stand towards the flag and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. When everybody checked in, they should have picked up the packet. And just to go through that real quickly, the beginning of the packet shows the bylaws. Those are part of the rules that control how we proceed this evening, the rules that we live by. And that's also controlled by Town Meeting Time, which is a publication that I, as the moderator, am obligated to enforce as part of the meeting. The next section shows the warrant and the motion. So again, we talk about this every time, but just to understand, the warrant is what is published and gives everyone notice on what's going to be discussed this evening. The actual motions, which are what people will stand up and read or recite, are what will matter. So you're going to want to listen carefully to the motions. The motions are largely printed in the guide, but some of them will change slightly based on some wording that happened last minute. So the actual motion, again, is what you want to listen for and what you'll deliberate on. So if anyone wants to make an amendment to any of the motions that are made, there is a process for that. You will need to stand and state that you wish to make an amendment. And all amendments do need to be in writing. There's no leeway on that. We do have a form this year right up here in the front with a pen, so you can come forward and write out your amendment, and we'd proceed on it from there. As I mentioned, my job as your moderator is to move the meeting forward while still giving everyone here the opportunity that wishes to speak and that has relevant information the opportunity to do so. So we do want to be precise and respectful, but we do want to be mindful that we are trying to get through a fair amount of information this evening. In terms of process, if you do want to speak, there are microphones in each aisle. You will need to come down to the microphone. You will wait until you are acknowledged. At that point, you will state your name, your street, not necessarily your address, and then proceed with your statement. Unless there's a mobility issue, and I'd ask that you raise your hand and identify that prior to speaking, there's not going to be any conversation that's going to be acknowledged if you're not in the aisle at the microphone, so please refrain from that. Again, just as a reminder, the way town meeting works is anything you do have to say is directed at the moderator, so there's not meant to be a dialogue between microphones or between other people in the audience or the select board or the front table. So direct the conversation here, and then as relevant people need to speak, we'll acknowledge them, and that'll occur. And it just allows everything to happen in an appropriate form. Again, it's come up the last couple years, but our bylaws do say that no one is allowed to speak more than twice on the same motion. So if you do have something to say and you do wish to say something else, we do want to kind of let everyone else that hasn't spoke flow through the microphone. And then if there is time and the question hasn't been called, then you'd be allowed to speak again. So with all of that, I just would like, as is our tradition, just to start with introductions across the table. My name is Dan Graves. I'm the town moderator. And to my right,
I'm Adam Costa, Town Council.
Holly Drake, Town Accountant.
Cassie Sanderell, Town Clerk.
Christopher Dunn, Town Administrator.
Blake Gilmore, Select Board.
Trevor McDaniel, Select Board Chair.
Tim Hilchey, Select Board Clerk.
Julie Chalfant, Finance Committee Chair.
James Cambias, Finance Committee.
Margaret Nardowitz, Finance Committee.
Mark Brennan, Finance Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Beth Brown, Finance Committee.
John Pereski, Finance Committee.
A little off topic, but we do have 370 people that have come to town meeting, a special town meeting, which quite honestly I think is probably the largest special town meeting that I've presided over. So thank you everyone for making the time, and it's good to see everyone getting more involved. So. I do have some initial motions. I move that the reading of all articles be waived, and further that unless objection is raised, the reading of detailed motions be waived where the article is printed can, in the opinion of the moderator, be incorporated by reference in any motion presented.
Second.
This is just a procedural motion, again, that lets us try to move a little bit quicker. Instead of the entire warrant from the package being read out loud to you, it just lets someone come forward and make the motion and then have an opportunity to summarize it. So all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. I move that the reading of all articles be waived and that prior to the reading of a motion under the article, the moderator I apologize. I move that the following people be allowed to address the audience during town meeting. Attorney Adam Costa, Town Council, Holly Drake, Town Accountant, Christopher Dunn, Town Administrator, Kathleen Cassie Sandrell, Town Clerk, Darius Modesto, Superintendent, Shelley Pareda, Director of Business Administration, Frontier Regional, Tina Gemme, Principal, Deerfield Elementary, Richard Martin, Superintendent, Franklin Tech School, Russell Cobras, Business Manager, Franklin Tech School. By our bylaws, if you're not a resident of Deerfield, you're not allowed to speak at town meeting. So this allows individuals with information relative to some things that may come up tonight and some that may not to speak. So all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. My last motion, I move that every voter, when recognized by the moderator, shall speak to the question under consideration and shall, as far as possible, avoid repetition. Other than the initial proponent, no voter shall speak more than twice on any motion except to correct an error or answer questions from the moderator, and shall be limited to no more than 3 minutes each time unless granted leave by the moderator.
Second.
I'm sorry, still going. The moderator may reduce the time limit to ensure that all those who wish to be heard may speak, and the moderator's ruling on time limits may be appealed to the meeting by motion, which shall be decided by a majority.
Second.
Although, essentially, in past meetings, we've had some issues where people have spoken passionately, but a little bit too long. And this is just really an attempt to keep everyone within the 3-minute limit. If it doesn't work, we'll see how it goes. I do have authority to let it extend or tighten it up a bit, but I think it's worth giving it a try. So all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, we're ready to go. Article 1, Mr. McDaniel.
I move the town pass over this article.
There you go. Article 2, Mr. Gilmore.
I move the town transfer $15,550 from free cash, $30,000 from the general highway payroll line item, and $30,000 from the recreational director's salary line item to group insurance. Town to fund the fiscal year 2026 shortfall related to health insurance.
Second.
Mr. Gilmore, if you could briefly describe the motion.
Okay, so basically the insurance carrier, which is Hampshire Trust that we've been using for a while, they have come to a shortfall in regards to new medication and that sort of thing. And so they are requesting mid-year that we increase the health insurance by 20%. So we have to pick that up. And we actually went through and other stuff that we had savings on, which was the recreation department and the highway department, we were able to make up that some of that difference, and then the rest of it came from free cash. So,
Any questions? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? That motion carries. There are seats down front on the left and the right if people want to sit. Quite a bit of people standing. Article 3, Mr. Hilchey.
So this is a follow-up to the previous article. I move the town transfer $105,384 from free cash to group insurance school to fund the fiscal year 2026 shortfall related to health insurance.
Second.
Mr. Hilchey.
So again, this is just to cover the rate increase that has been brought to us by the health insurance trust that we insure our employees through.
Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Article 4, Mr. McDaniel.
I move the town transfer $250,000 from free cash to capital stabilization.
Mr. McDaniel.
So this article would top the capital stabilization account to just shy of $560,000. We had pretty sizable amount of free cash certified in the fall, and we'd like to put some of that into capital stabilization for capital projects.
Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Article 5, Mr. Gilmore.
I move the town transfer $200,000 from free cash, $38,000 from sewer retained earnings, and $400,000 from EMS retained earnings to fund the amended fiscal year 2026 capital improvement plan as set forth in this warrant.
Second?
Mr. Gilmore.
Okay, so this was something that was brought up, some of it from the town meeting and was held off, and we went through it this fall. And we actually asked some of our supervisors to come up with some better plans, and this is what they came up with. Do you want me to go through them individually?
It's up to you. Yeah, if you have some information briefly on each of them, it makes sense.
Okay. So the police garage, they're looking for architectural plans to renovate what they have and to add on to it, and that's going to be $50,000. That would be out of free cash. The ambulance, a new ambulance, we are sitting on an ambulance that was set out for bid over 3 years ago and haven't seen it. Now, both ambulances that we have are well over 100, 150,000 miles, and they're both costing a lot of money to repair. They now have or the chief for the EMS has located an ambulance service out of New York that can deliver one by January. They're going to take the funding for this out of their revenues, and along with the ambulance loaders. These are what you would put the patient on to get them into the back of the ambulance, and there's one for each one of them. So that's part of the cost as well. Loader repairs, now our highway super, they were looking in the spring to get a new loader. He came up with a cost of $55,000 to repair the one that we have that would last between 5 and 10 years instead of buying another new loader. So that's, again, this is stuff that has to be done to fix that loader and bring it back up online. The sewer drain vacuum jetter truck. Now, we actually bid out to have that done in town here. This truck that they found is up in Maine, and it's for $38,000. That truck, if we were to get it new, would be closer to $300,000 or more. And the town that has it just retrofitted it and just put it back into really good condition, and then the town went and bought a new one. So we actually got on that one and got a deal out of it. So the next, the highway is a Ford F-150. They were looking for $80,000 back in the spring for a one-ton truck, and they have one that's being used by one of the foremen or the supervisors that he's driving around town in. They're now going to get him a half-ton pickup to drive around in and put that other one online for plowing and for doing the work they need to get done in the summertime. The last one is the concrete sidewalk replacement plan for $50,000. That's coming from free cash. And that is set up so that we plan on starting to, take care of the sidewalks as they come up. We're going to, start replacing them, do a priority of which ones need to be done, and then each year he's going to be trying to get those sidewalks repaired. Most urgent ones get done first, and then they go down the line with it. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Article 6, Mr. Hilchi.
I move that the town authorize the Select Board to establish permanent protection of land located on Steam Mill Road, Deerfield, Massachusetts, and as shown on the Town of Deerfield Assessor's Map 79, Lot 39, including 31 acres more or less, whose deed is recorded at Book 731, page 32 of the Franklin County Registry of Deeds, for the exclusive purpose of conservation as town forest in accordance with Article 97 of the amendments to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that the Select Board be authorized to enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents, subject to such restrictions and limitations as the Select Board deems appropriate, in order to effectuate the permanent protection of said parcel accordingly.
Second.
Mr. Hilchi?
So this is, again, I think we've talked about this before, and we put on hold to do some research around some private property interests that were located within this parcel. So the Open Space Committee has identified several parcels to permanently protect, and this 31-acre parcel was acquired by the town in the 1920s for town forest, but is not permanently protected. And you can see an attachment for plan of land. This article would establish permanent protection of the land under Article 97 of the amendments to the state constitution, and I believe that might make us able to apply for state money to facilitate public use of these lands in the future.
Any questions? Yes, if you'd like to come forward to the microphone. Again, if you can just state your name and your street, and present your question or comment.
John Rutka, County Road. My question about the steam mill piece of property, I live right next to it. The town has all these town forests, but we don't do anything with the land. We don't do any forest management or anything. They're just there, and they're off the tax rolls. Steam Mill Road, the end of it, they got 5 new properties out there that are paying taxes into the town now. Of course, there's a big to-do over that road. You got a forest there that the pine was supposed to have been, or should have been, cut 30 years ago, and now it's all fallen down. Why do you want to put more land protected when you could probably build houses on it? That's just my question.
Mr. McDaniel.
I think I believe a lot of this parcel is just up the hillside. There is some flat land at the bottom, but most of it is kind of going up the ridge. So it's a very steep part, and then levels out at the top. We had this on annual town meeting, and I had asked and worked with Open Space to pull it off because our towers are at the top. And we were concerned with protecting it. We wanted to make sure we had a little space around it if there were some adjustments to those towers. So mainly a lot of it is very steep, not usable. But the Open Space Committee has been working quite a bit over the last couple of years to protect some of this land, work with the state. The state just bought a large section of it too, and then we're looking to develop the trails. So a lot of people do hike it, but we want to improve the trail infrastructure through there. And you're right, there are some areas that we probably should manage a little better and have some logging done and that sort of thing to make sure the forest stays healthy. So those are some good points.
Yes.
Laurie Busada, North Main Street. I want to thank the Open Space Committee for looking at this opportunity to permanently protect land. I recently spent a couple days at an old growth forest conference, and there are some very local people, Bob Leverett in Northampton and Bill Muma in the Berkshires, who are advocating that the best solution for climate change is to leave forest to become old growth. What that means is the downed logs and the broken logs and the splintered logs and all the things that create the network under the ground to build places to sequester carbon and make a habitat. So I think this is a nice small contribution to the national goal of putting aside 30% of the land by 2030. So thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries by a 2/3 majority. Article 7, Mr. McDaniel.
I move the town authorize the select board to grant an easement to pass and repass and use for agricultural purposes to Kenneth S. Williams IV and Alyssa Marie Williams of 57 Green River Road, Greenfield, Franklin County, Massachusetts, 01301, as trustees of the Williams Living Trust in an area located on Martins Falls Road, off Mill Village Road, and identified on the Deerfield Town Assessor's Map 87, Lot 8, and Book 973, page 319 of the Franklin County Register of Deeds, shown on a plan of land for the proposed conservation restrictions prepared by Daniel Saul's Land Surveying for the town of Deerfield to file with the town clerk, and that the select board be authorized to enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents subject to such restrictions and limitations as the select board deems appropriate in order to effectuate the granting of said easement accordingly.
Mr. McDaniel, briefly.
Sure. Surveys of the parcel owned by the town of Deerfield, the Stillwater Bridge mitigation parcel, showed slight encroachment by the neighboring farm operation. As the parcel is planned to be dedicated for open space to support the Stillwater Bridge project, the presence of the farm road and the field at the edge of the property should not pose an issue. The article authorizes select board to grant the neighbor an easement, and you can see that attachment for surveying showing the proposed easement. It's really just to allow some access to the property.
And all the maps and things are in the back of the handout if you're looking to follow along for 7, 8, and 9. All those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries in excess of 2/3. Article 8, Mr. Gilmore.
I move the town authorize the select board to extinguish the town's easement rights and servitude in the land in Deerfield, 40 feet in width, for all purposes connected with the repair, replacement, maintenance, and reconstruction of stone diking, lying within the land of Molinar LLC near the easterly bank of the Deerfield River as described in Book 973, page 342, and shown in Plan Book 15, page 44 of the Franklin County Register of Deeds. And that the select board be authorized to enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents subject to such restrictions and limitations as the select board deems appropriate in order to effectuate the extinguishment of said easement accordingly.
Mr. Gilmore?
So this is, Trevor, you can help me with this. So it's the
Stillwater Bridge mitigation parcel.
So this is the Stillwater Bridge mitigation parcel discussed in Article 7. Lacks frontage for access. The town owns an easement on a neighboring parcel for dike maintenance. And however, there is no current stone dike on the parcel. And this is to authorize the selectmen just to get an agreement because this is, again, got to do with the rebuilding of Stillwater Bridge.
Mr. McDaniel, if you want to add to that.
So just a lot of this issue is when Irene came through, it kind of took out a lot of this property. It's where the river, go along Mill Village Road, you'll see the riprap along the side, and then the river kind of turns west, and that kind of area got taken out quite a bit. So a lot of the land isn't there. There isn't a dike anymore. So it's just kind of getting rid of our easement that was there.
All those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries in excess of 2/3. Article 9, Mr. Hilchey.
I move the town authorize the select board to enter into an agreement with the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources for a license to use land owned by Molinar LLC to pass and repass for the purposes of accessing land located on Martin Falls Road, off Mill Village Road, and identified on the Deerfield Assessor's Maps as parcel ID number 87-8, Book 973, page 319 of the Franklin County Registry of Deeds, shown on a plan of land for proposed conservation restriction prepared by Daniel Saul's Land Surveying for the town of Deerfield on file with the town clerk, and that the Select Board be authorized to enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents subject to such restrictions and limitations as the Select Board deems appropriate in order to effectuate the license agreement.
Mr. Hilchi?
Again, this is related to land mitigation related to the Stillwater Bridge project, and it provides for a license agreement to access this mitigation parcel.
All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? That motion carries in excess of 2/3. Article 10, Mr. McDaniel.
I move the town authorize the Select Board to acquire easements for the purpose of temporary construction access on Elm Street, Railroad Street, North Main Street, and South Main Street to facilitate the Elm Street Complete Streets project on the parcels listed in the handout. And to appropriate funds sufficient to cover the cost of appraisals and just compensation for said easements in the amount of $25,000 from Chapter 90 or the Complete Streets or MassWorks grant awards to the town. Said easements not to exceed 5,000 square foot per parcel, and the Select Board be authorized to enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents subject to such restrictions and limitations as the Select Board deems appropriate in order to effectuate said easements.
Mr. McDaniel?
So we're super excited. We've got a Complete Streets grant. First grant was to do some study of the Elm Street and to look at ways that we could improve it and replace sidewalks and redo the drainage. And then huge thank you to Alex Galloway, our new town planner, who reached out and secured a very large grant to do a lot of the work. This is just giving us an ability to have easements from like the street up to the buildings for a lot of the sidewalk work that we have to do.
All those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries in excess of 2/3. Article 11, Mr. Gilmore.
I move the town accept the 2025 Economic Development Plan as presented by the Deerfield Economic Development Industrial Corporation.
Second.
Mr. Gilmore.
So this is DEDIC, and they've updated their plan, and I think they have to do it every 5 or 10 years, and they've went through with the county to establish this plan and get it up to speed. And we need to accept this because it's required by Mass General laws, and that's why we're coming to you for this. It also, recommendations include undertaking a townwide economic development plan and extending fiber to the industrial park itself.
Any questions? Yes.
Lily Dwight, South Mill River Road. I brought this to the attention of the town planner, but the demographic data in the DEDIC report is from 2022, and it is almost 2026. So I also noted that in the report, the appendix, or the index, says things are on page 15, and they're on page 19. And et cetera, et cetera. So what I would, before I can vote for it, I think that we should have somebody go through and make it coherent and update it with data that is not 4 years old.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Moderator, my name is John Pachurk. I'm the chairman of DEDIC. There are discrepancies in the report that we've done, and part of it is because it refers to more than one document. It refers to the Deerfield Master Plan and refers to other plans. And because of this discrepancy, one will say page 16 when it's really 19, but that's a typographical error, and that's all it is. To me, we did a joint meeting with the Deerfield Planning Board on May 12th. Everybody who had concerns came in. There was nobody that really voiced any concerns. There's a requirement that we update this plan every 10 years. And after we have a joint meeting with the planning board, it's required that the town vote on it to accept this plan. So you either accept it or you can vote against it. But my recommendation to you is to accept the plan because that's what we've always done. We've done this for the last 37 years. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries by 2/3 majority or in excess. Article 12, Mr. Hilchi.
I move that the town amend the Town of Deerfield general bylaws in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 60, Section 62A, by adding a new section as set forth in the warrant.
Mr. Hilchi.
So you may recall that I believe that in previous meeting we approved a plan for allowing tax title negotiations with property owners who were in arrears, and we voted to accept it. We sent it to the AG's office as required, and they sent it back saying that we had made some mistakes in the language. This is this vote is to allow us to have the correct language and to allow the treasurer to come up with payment plans to help those that are in arrears come up to full compliance with the taxes.
Mr. Decker.
Moderator, I move that we amend the word shall and remove it and add the word may in its place in section C. And the reason for this...
Just a moment, Mr. Decker. Is there a second on the motion? There's a second. I'd like to briefly explain your proposed amendment.
Well, basically, the word shall is controlling, okay? And if it just kills everything on the spot. If the guy's 10 minutes late, he's defaulted, all right? And it starts the whole process again. Where if the word may is technically he's in default, and the tax collector can tell him he's in default, and that's it. But he can also turn around and work with somebody. I just think the word may is a better word than shall. So I have it in writing for you, sir.
Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment? Stay there, Mr. Decker. Okay. Yes, Mr. Bradley.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Decker, for the amendment. I think that I would rather work with people in town as long as this satisfies the AG and council. I think this would be a good thing to do, and I would support the amendment.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Mr. McDaniel.
So I think we do work with people in town. We've been I know that our treasurer works very hard to make sure that people kind of get caught up, don't get far behind. We have a lot of negotiations that we work with to try and make that happen. My concern is that the reason this is back before you is that we didn't follow the letter of the law, and we were giving, we were leaving. I think that the complaint that the AG's office had is that we were leaving too much up to negotiation, and I think when the AG sent this language back to us, they wanted us to do it because it needed to be done a specific way because of Supreme Court precedents and the case that went before them. So my concern to make a change to something that the AG's office told us to do, we might be back here next meeting. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Moderator, could we have advice from legal counsel?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So I've had an opportunity to review the floor amendment, and Full disclosure, Mr. Decker did approach me at the start of tonight's meeting and gave me a bit of a heads up that he'd be making the proposal. Unfortunately, because it was so soon before the meeting, I didn't have an opportunity to circle back with him, but I did have a brief opportunity to review the language of the statute as it relates to the language of the proposed bylaw. And as one of your select board members has just stated, the reason this is back before you is because of an inconsistency that the Attorney General's office had identified between the language of the bylaw that this town meeting previously adopted and the language of the statute. In light of that, in now understanding the nature of the proposed amendment, the amendment is to subsection C of the bylaw, and the word shall, as it appears in the first sentence, says, all payment agreements shall comply with the following requirements. And there are two requirements to follow in the proposed bylaw. The first is that the payment agreement has a term of 3 years. And the second is that the payment agreement states the amount of the payment that is due from the taxpayer at the time that the agreement is executed, which is at least 10% of the amount that is needed to redeem the parcel. And so as I compare that to the language of the statute, and I have it in front of me and I'm going to quote it to you so you better understand, the statute says specifically, and I'm quoting, such agreements shall be for a maximum term of no more than 10 years or such lesser period as the ordinance or bylaw specifies. And later in the statute, it says any such agreement must require a minimum payment at the inception of the agreement of 10% of the amount needed to redeem the parcel. So the reason that this word shall is used in the proposed bylaw is because the language of the statute in two locations is shall and must. And so these are requirements of the bylaw. So I appreciate Mr. Decker's point about flexibility. I don't believe that that's what this section of your proposed bylaw is doing, is providing or not providing flexibility. I think it's simply saying that if a payment agreement is going to be entered into by your treasurer, it shall comply with the requirements in this subsection C, which are simply mirroring the language of the statute.
Any questions on Mr. Decker's amendment? Okay, so where we're at now is because Mr. Decker made an amendment and it was seconded, the vote right now is on Mr. Decker's amendment, not on the motion that was made by Mr. Hilchey. So all those in favor of the proposed amendment made? All those opposed? That amendment is defeated. Back to the original motion. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? That motion carries. Article 13, Mr. McDaniel.
Okay, so in your handout, you'll see that I was, I was to move, pass over this article, but at our select board meeting tonight, we've been discussing this change for quite a while, and at our finance committee meetings, and you may have even participated in a survey about this. The whole aspect of this, well, here, I'll start with the motion. Why don't we do that? I move the town amend Chapter 48 of the Town of Deerfield General Bylaws to change the date and time of town meeting as set forth in the warrant. Second. Thank you.
Mr. McDaniel.
So Deerfield's annual town meeting date and time are currently set in bylaw as the last Monday in April at 7 p.m. But Finance Committee and Select Board members are exploring changes to provide more time for budget preparation. A questionnaire was circulated to capture residents' availability for different dates and times. There's attachment of the survey in the back. So we were going to have discussion about moving, the plan would be to move annual town meeting to the second Monday in May instead of the last Monday in April, and the meeting time to 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. This would also move, we usually have an election the following week, and so this would also move the election to the Tuesday immediately following the third Monday in May at 10 a.m. So the idea is to try and give Finance Committee and accountant and everybody that works on the budget just a little bit more time. We're always scrambling to wait for numbers from the state. I know a couple weeks is not a long time, but it does help us quite a bit. So the plan is just to kind of move our date for annual town meeting a little bit. The reason we were going to pass over this is we felt like we needed more outreach to people, and I thought, why not here you all are tonight. So we thought maybe just at least a discussion, and we could, this vote can fail, and we could bring it up again later with more discussion. But we thought, a discussion tonight to find out if there was a strong feeling either way. Again, the main crux of this is to give our finance committee and the select board and our accountant a little bit more time to plan out the budget. Happy to take any questions or through the moderator.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Hilchi.
Yes, I'd just like, hello. I'd just like to thank Julie Chalfant for her work on this, because we've been discussing this for many years. She took it upon herself to survey. We wish we'd had more respondents and so forth, but it did give us some idea about general feelings of people about moving to a Saturday or a, other day in the week and another time, and this was the one that had the most support.
Yes.
Hi, Darcy Albanese from Crestview. I have a question. I may be talking not the right way, but is it possible to consider, we talk a lot about wanting to have young community members available for the meeting. If we moved it back one more week from what your proposal, our college students could be home and participate as well. And that's something I know that my children wanted to do and have been tough. And they have gone to college and come back to this community. So I would love them to have that opportunity to participate in this more. They have come to some of the town meetings, but it's really challenging. So if at all, we can move it back one more week from here. So thank you.
I'm just going to look here.
Yes.
Just very quickly in response to that comment, if we push it back one more week, that pushes the election one more week later, and that would make the election the day after Memorial Day, which makes it is a challenging week to do things.
True.
But not necessarily impossible.
Yeah, so the original plan was to not have this discussion tonight, and
sorry.
See how that worked out. So, if we do take the vote, this will now become when we have the meeting. I don't know that was the plan, and it totally is fine if that is what happens. There were just some discussions about kind of taking a step back and looking at any other changes we might want to make to town meeting in terms of various things, but there's a lot more people here tonight than I think people anticipated, so it is a good cross-section to take the vote. But I just put that out there. So if there's no other comment or anything else, we're going to take a vote on it, but we also can table it to another day. Yes, sir.
My name is Lucas Grafton, Sand Gully Road. I just want to know, what's the practical purpose of moving the election day from Monday to Tuesday?
Mr. McDaniel?
Great question. I think we moved it to Tuesday instead of a Monday just because most people kind of have a feeling of elections are on Tuesdays. So that was really I think the only real reason. Is that correct, Julie? Yeah, just because everyone always assumes Tuesday is an election day and ours are always on a Monday. So that was really the only reason.
Okay, there's a motion. It's been seconded. So all those in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed? That motion carries. Adam, does that need to be in excess of 2/3 of bylaw change? No? Yep. That motion carries.
There you go.
Article 14.
Here we go.
Okay. Do I start by reading the motion?
Yes, if you could just introduce yourself.
Okay. Emily Gaylord. I'm at Grave Street. I move the town amend Chapter 69 Stretch Energy Code of the General Bylaws by deleting the entire chapter and substituting in its place the Specialized Energy Code language in the handout for the purpose of regulating the design and construction of buildings for the effective use of energy and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions pursuant to the entirety of 225 CMR 22 and 23, including appendices RC and CC, Massachusetts State Code, including future additions, amendments, or modifications thereto with an effective date of July 1st, 2026, and authorize the town clerk to make such ministerial corrections and clarifications as are necessary to the adoption of this bylaw.
Is there a second? Ms. Gaylord, if you could briefly explain your motion?
Sure. So before I get started, I just want to say that it is the privilege of my life to live in a community where people care so much, and 370 people showing up says that you care, and I'm just hoping we can start this conversation understanding we have that in common, and I think that's pretty special. So currently we're a green community, and in order to become a climate leader community, you need to meet set criteria. And we're already on our way. So we have that green community designation, and we have an active energy committee. And these initiatives have brought in over $600,000 in grant funding for projects like lighting upgrades that now save the town an additional $30,000 every year. Climate leadership qualifies us for over $1 million in grant funding, a $150,000 TA grant, technical assistance, and then based on that assistance, we can apply for grants to fully cover the cost of suggested projects. The next step to become a climate leader is to pass the following 3 articles, but we need to vote on each one. So I'm going to talk about them one at a time, and I'm sorry that we have to do this 3 times. I promise this is hard on me more than you. Okay. So I'm talking about this specialized energy code first. Over the last few weeks, it's become very clear that there's a lack of clarity around our current building code, and part of this is simply the names, and forgive me, code names. The name of our current building code is the stretch code, which is carried by 90% of communities in Massachusetts. The stretch code already has many requirements, including wiring requirements for renovations and additions, pre-wiring for EV chargers, solar-ready roofs, and more. The only difference between the stretch code, remember that's the name of our current code, and the specialized energy code for climate leadership is this: for new construction only, if you want to use fossil fuels, you must pre-wire for future electrification and have a small number of solar panels if possible. It's important that the people who live here can continue to live here. I mean, we just voted to move free cash to cover health insurance premiums, right? The only way to do that is to find cost reductions. $1 million to invest in our town, which goes to our bottom line energy costs that we then reap savings from for decades, feels to me like a no-brainer opportunity. Becoming a climate leader does not raise taxes or create new expenses. It makes Deerfield eligible for additional state grants, and every project still requires select board approval and is fully funded by those grants. So this isn't a situation where we agree to do a project, we run out of money, and then we have to foot the bill. This is, we're applying for coverage of a specific project with the state. For context, because I know people are like, what's $1 million? We could likely install hundreds of solar panels, which would be enough to cover the library, the wastewater treatment plant, and 1 or 2 more buildings, potentially reducing our energy costs by 25 to 50%, and that's what they're seeing in communities that have adopted this. And then again, there's that $150,000 technical assistance grant to hire an engineer to assess exactly where to put solar for optimum long-term use. All of this information is found through the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, and I know there's going to be questions, so will you just direct me if I can answer questions? Shall I raise my hand?
Yes. Let's
Okay.
see if anyone has comments or questions. Yes, if you can come down to the microphone. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Julie Cavaco from North Hillside Road. When I first heard about this, I was thinking, why could people feel the specialized code is going to be a problem for new construction? Well, I thought the cost of new buildings, right? Department of Energy Resources data says that all electric new homes built to the specialized code often cost the same or less to build. We already have thicker insulation codes in place. Impact on housing supply, affordability. We've been working on getting senior housing in town. And many people are understanding the need for more housing across the state. Property owners who want that option should find the cost to be the same or less. Additionally, if they want to add an accessory dwelling unit under their 1,000 square feet on their older home, the homeowner's construction will not fall under these new building requirements. Do they have land for the children to build on? Will this code get them to think about living elsewhere? As mentioned before, all electric homes do not cost more in comparison. This is not new technology. These codes are where we are heading, and companies are getting more competitive. Plus, homes built to these standards are more comfortable, affordable to run, and hold higher resale value. Not that you want them to move out. Where did this idea ever come from? Most towns in Massachusetts have been encouraging higher efficiency homes with mixed fuel systems. This is an extension of that development. The main difference is about fuel choice, not stricter insulation or construction requirements, which have already been in place. I won't have a choice. It doesn't ban oil or gas. A new building would be required to have all the electric in place. This would prepare the home for the future as the price and availability of oil and gas changes. Choosing to use oil and gas would actually increase the building costs. The price of oil and gas will increase. I see fossil fuels rising as demand shrinks. You know how cable keeps increasing? I see it as their way to stay profitable as more people jump to streaming. So that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to go back and forth on the mics over to the other side.
Lily Dwight, South Mill River Road. I'm the chair of the Ad Hoc Senior Housing Committee. Our committee voted to support these articles because they are the right thing to do for our town, for our seniors, and for our shared future. These measures can open doors for senior housing development. When I spoke with the developers of senior housing, they told me that subsidized housing projects are already being built to the specialized energy code because that is what the state is funding. They will not fund it if we don't. By voting, well, if they don't build it that way, by voting yes and becoming a climate leader, we don't just catch up, we get ahead. The state incentives that come with this designation can lower construction costs and dramatically cut building operating costs for years to come. And this is something developers care deeply about. I also spoke with a manager from a local accessory dwelling unit company, an ADU. They said their homes already meet these standards and, quoting directly, hitting these HERS scores really isn't that hard. Speaking personally as someone who cares deeply about the planet we all share and this town, I urge everyone to join me in supporting these articles. This isn't just an environmental choice, it is a smart economic one, which is why the Finance Committee's vote is surprising. Approving these 3 articles unlocks grants that reduce our tax burden for years by helping us produce and use energy more efficiently. Winchester, Mass. Reduced their energy usage by 26% through the specialized code and their grants. Concerns about grid capacity? The state is investing over $300 million in upgrades, and the power companies are investing even more. Last year, Eversource published its plan, which aims to increase grid capacity by 180% by 2035. Their $12.1 billion 10-year plan supports millions of electric vehicles, 1 million heat pumps, and over 2 gigawatt of solar. If we become a climate leader, the grant process will take some time. By the time we're ready, they'll be ready. We already have the building requirements. The state and utilities are moving full speed ahead. This vote unlocks crucial grants that will save our town money, protect our environment, and strengthen our community, benefiting us now and for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Lori Baronis, South Mill River Road. I attended a meeting to get information on the specialized code and didn't get my questions answered. Because of that, I'm voting no. Our power company doesn't have the capability or the infrastructure, meaning substations, local transmission lines, and high-tension lines in place to handle this or support the additional increase in demand of electricity in the specialized code that will require. My family's been in power generation for over 50 years, and my family has also been in HVAC. It will take many years to develop the infrastructure with permits, building transformers. The transformers now take 10 to 15 years and maybe even 20 years because the demand's so high, and they come from China. If you're planning on solar power for this, you will need condenser banks in a substation to handle the bars that will be put out by heat pumps, mini splits, and HVAC systems that the specialized code will require. Where are you going to put these substations? Who is going to supply the power, and where will these high-tension wires go that will be required? As a taxpayer, I'm also concerned with the cost. It appears to me that the committee members don't know the basic knowledge of electric power generation or experience to be making these decisions for the town. Unless you start building conventional power plants now, you'll never have enough power from this conversion from fossil fuel to electric power by 2050. I'm wondering if you have researched this to its fullest, because I haven't seen details being discussed. Solar panels under the specialized energy code can never make up the carbon footprint generated in their production. Solar panels' life expectancy is 20 to 25 years. How much will it cost to dispose of them at the end of their life, as they have hazardous waste in them? This will be a cost to the taxpayers. It seems as though this committee is putting the cart before the horse, and the horse is an old gray mare ready for the glue factory.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Steven Swoboda from 193 North Main Street. In reading this, it sounds like all we're agreeing to is non-binding, 3 non-binding. I mean, we agreed to these things that don't even bind us, and that frees up this money that we've paid to the state that we get back instead of just letting the communities know. What? It's not.
They're not. I
They're not-
can't speak.
Oh. Well, I'd like an answer, because it seems like if they're non-binding, that they're saying that we're going to try to get off fossil fuel, but we don't actually have to do that we're just intending to do our best. What's to free up money that if we don't use that money, the other communities throughout the state use it instead, and then they're going to be ahead of us, and it's going to be cheaper for their electricity, and we're going to pay the difference? Anyway, I'd like to get more answers.
Mr. McDaniel?
They are binding. Not all of them, but the first question. In what way is it binding? It is binding because you are saying that you will do anything that the state says going forward for changing. If you have dual use electric, you want to back up fuel, propane, anything else, you now have to meet a 0 HERS rating if your house is over 4,000 square feet. There's a lot of things, unintended consequences to these things. They are not non-binding. They are not non-binding. You said they're non-binding. They are binding. They bind you to the specialized code and any requirement coming from the government.
Sir, if you could move back to the microphone,
People to talk.
and we're not going to have a dialogue. So if there's a specific question, I'll try to direct an answer to you, but we're not going to go back and forth.
My understanding is the specialized code is only brand new construction, and it actually so I'm a New Englander. I want the cheapest thing to own, not to buy. I mean, I don't want to get the cheapest house to own by some speculation. They throw it out there and it's a cheap house, but then if I buy it, I've got to pay huge fuel bills. I want the cheapest thing to own, which is not that much more. But do we really want people in town that are going to build cheap stuff and just dump it on our fellows that, do we have to be burning oil?
Mr. McDaniel, you'd like to follow up briefly?
Just a follow-up. Our stretch code is extremely potent. Like Deerfield has done a ton in this realm. The specialized code is the top of the top, and then you must do anything that the state says going forward. So it's not just...
I'd like to see that. Does that really say that we must do anything the state says?
We're not going to do that. Nope. I don't think there's a question to you, so we're going to keep going on the mic for now, and we'll let you follow up.
Answer the binding piece, if that's okay.
We'll come back to it. Thanks.
Okay.
Sir, if you'd like to comment.
Hi, John Ross, Green Oak Crossing. I'm retired, and the only way I was able to retire is by investing wisely. And the way you invest wisely is putting emotion and preconceptions aside and doing the math. And the math of this makes sense. It's the exact same math at my home where I put solar panels up, and now I don't pay an electric bill. I pay a loan payment to pay off the solar panels. And in 5 to 7 years, I own those, and I'm making my own electricity, and I'm not paying. It's the same math for the city, it's just a different scale. So it really is a no-brainer that we take these incentives from the government and do this. It is the future. I'd like to think I live in a town where we do the smart thing and put our emotions and our preconceptions aside and just do the math. Okay.
Yes.
My name is Renee Gripko Clancy. I'm on Meadowwood Drive, I think it is. We need both. This argument that if your solar panels are covered with snow, what good is it? Fossil fuels, we've got definite problems with the environment, so we need both. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Number one, I have an electric vehicle. Typically, if a conventional automobile combustion engine, you get maybe 30 miles to the gallon. If you burn a generator, you run a generator on 1 gallon of gasoline. For an electric vehicle, I get 80 miles. So 30 for your fossil fuel burning vehicle, and mine will be 80. Berkshire Gas has put a moratorium, so your choices are pretty much propane or electric, possibly oil, but the volatility of the prices of oil, you don't know. So people are going to be encouraged to do electric. What else? Our tax dollars are already in the fund. They're there. So why are we letting other communities, Boston especially, those communities around Boston are eating up this fund that you've already paid into? Why don't we get some of our tax dollars back? It's $1 million of grant money. Let's go for it. And I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Charlene Galinsky, 342 River Road. I'm against this article totally, so I will be a no vote. And if we vote this in tonight, it means we no longer have the stretch code to have building regulations by. We now are up to the highest level, which is the specialized code, which is, yes, for new construction. However, I'll read verbatim from the, somebody asked this, so here's your answer. From the Department of Energy Resources, it says, once the stretch and specialized code is adopted by a municipality, all future additions, amendments, and modifications are automatically adopted unless the municipality rescinds adoption of the code itself. So in my thinking of what that means to me, and I think people who might be against this article, things can be added, and we have to suck it up and go with it. And if we want to change it, we have to rescind the vote, which means, I guess, another special town meeting. That's a dangerous statement to me because we don't know what the state's wisdom will be telling us with this new specialized code. Next of all, it deals with electricity. I've been doing some research on this. I don't know if all of you in this auditorium realize this, but 71% of the electricity that is here in Massachusetts comes from fossil fuels. Isn't it ironic that we're going all electric, so we're going to have to use more fossil fuels to create more electricity? Doesn't make sense. It's on, if you don't believe that, it's on the ISO New England website, which is sort of they call it the air traffic controllers of electricity. There are 6 states that are regulated by them. The next thing is that if you have new construction, yes, you can opt to have oil or some other form of fuel. However, you must put in pre-wiring for electricity down the road. So in other words, you're going to have to put in 2 systems because you're mandated to put in the electrical system in case the next homeowner that comes in there wants to hook up to electricity. If you want your gas or your oil, go for it, but you're going to pay more money just because of the way this specialized code reads. And there's no choice. It's in there. And it says must. It does not say, well, maybe, or perhaps. It says must. And lastly, for new construction, the pre-wiring that is going to be expected is for HVAC systems, water heaters, and gas appliances. There are only 55 communities out of 351 in Massachusetts who have adopted the specialized code. And the $1 million that keeps being mentioned, nobody yet has said, that's a competitive grant, folks. That's not money waiting once we become a climate leader community. Oh, we've got $1 million. We have to apply for it competitively. I spoke this morning with 2 town officials, one from Amherst and one from Ashfield, because they're both climate leader communities. I asked, have you gotten any money yet, any grant money? Ashfield just sent in their application. They're hoping to get an answer by January, and Amherst is beginning their preliminary work of identifying what they're going to be asking for.
We're up on the 3 minutes and then some.
So my point is, this is not automatic, folks. I don't know. People aren't giving you all the information you need to know, and please vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hilche? Yeah, Emily, if you'd like to speak for a minute.
So I just want to answer a couple questions. And honestly, a lot of my response to Charlene is yes. Yes, right now under the stretch code, every 3 years it gets updated, and probably most of us don't know that because we don't need to. Yes, under the specialized energy code, it would get updated. If it's no longer working for us, yes, we bring it back here and we can rescind it. It reduces the risk, which goes back to the non-binding. We do maintain control here. The point about energy from fossil fuels, that's the point of making our own energy here in town. That's the whole intent behind these grants, to bring energy into town. The 2 systems component, what we're finding is that actually results in a down the line cost savings because so many folks end up retrofitting because of the gas moratorium and the lack of access to affordable energy systems. Regarding the number of communities, I just want to be clear, specialized energy code only became an option. This program, the Climate Leader Program, 2023, it's 2 years old. So it's actually not that only 55 communities have adopted it. Already 55 communities have adopted it, and we don't want to be left behind. And I just want to mention about the money left. There is a $60 million pot of protected funds put away for this purpose. $52.5 million remains. This is why we're pushing for it right now. We don't want that to run out. Have the stretch code continue to be updated, have these become mandates instead of opt-ins, and then no longer have access to grant funding. So that's part of the urgency behind this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hilche?
So first, I'd just like to say that I'm speaking for myself as a homeowner. I live at 330 Greenfield Road. I recently replaced my 30-year-old air conditioners with the heat pump system, but I also installed a propane furnace so that in the coldest months I can choose to switch over to propane. I've been very happy with this because my air conditioning is much better than it used to be. I wanted to speak about, I had conversations with Bob Walden, who's our building inspector, about the differences between the various codes that are in town. We are a stretch code community, as about 90% of Massachusetts communities are. There is a base code. When Deerfield adopted the stretch code in 2011, several years later, 2 years later, I think the base code and the stretch code were changed. The codes are changed on a 3-year cycle. The current base code is more restrictive than the stretch code that we adopted in 2011, and this is a trend. We saw also that a lot of the things that were in the stretch code to begin with are now required no matter what your code is. The specialized energy code will be piggybacking on the stretch code. So if we voted for this tonight, we would still have the stretch code in place tomorrow, and there would be another layer on top of it, which would be the specialized energy code, which would apply to new construction. So I think that the key ingredient to this is local control. If we approve this, we find out it's not working for us, we just go to an annual town meeting, we don't have to call a special town meeting, and we rescind the vote, and then we go back to stretch code. But the state is going to start mandating these things, as you can see, because the base code has become what the stretch code used to be. We are moving in this direction, and it will become, the future will be more restrictive on burning fossil fuels. The incentives are in place now, and I think that that's why now is the time to do it while there are fewer communities. We were the first MVP community, and we got a bunch of grants. When everybody else got on board, our grants dwindled. So I think it's a no-risk proposition that we do this for a couple of years and see if it's working for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Lori Wusada, North Main Street. Now, I want to speak as a homeowner and a teacher, especially standing in this place right now. I also want to mention that currently in Brazil, world leaders from I don't know how many countries, but countries all over the world are getting together for another conference on parties to look at how the world together can be looking at this situation. So the reason we even have this possibility is because in order to meet the climate goals of reducing fossil fuel use by 2050, the state is making funds available because they know they can't do it alone. So that's why it's available now. They're putting the money out to make people adopt it. So as a homeowner, it's much easier to build an insulated, airtight, well-ventilated electric home in the beginning than it is to retrofit. I have been ripping out lath and plaster and putting in good insulation and insulating our roof, et cetera, for a long time now. And it would have been so much easier to have that all installed in the beginning. I also will say that our induction stove is wonderful. Chefs are going to it because you can be very exact with the setting that you're using, and I do not miss breathing in propane at all. The other place I will speak for is I've been teaching science to middle school and high school for 26 years. It's really hard to talk about this and have the kids ask, well, if we've known all this, why haven't we done anything? I feel like we really owe it to the young people of our community to take actions that will affect a few new homeowners who are going to do the most efficient home anyway, so that we can put solar on our roof, so we can put on the town library, we can put solar on the DPW, on the schools possibly, and let them know that we care about their future, that they shouldn't be dealing with wildfires and droughts and heavy storms and unknown climate chaos, and we're doing the best that we can to take action right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Ryan Kingston. I live on Eastern Ave. Last October, the state of Massachusetts had 196 wildfires in a single month. The average for October is 12. That is just one of many trends over the past recent years. We've had summer skies blotted out by Canadian wildfire smoke. We've seen record-breaking floods. We've seen prolonged droughts. And these extreme weather events will only continue into the future until we eliminate the use of fossil fuels for heating our homes and powering our vehicles. I feel incredibly grateful to be in Massachusetts, where we have adopted a net zero by 2050 goal. That means the state is investing in the energy infrastructure and the communities to get off of fossil fuels. heard concerns about the transmission infrastructure and 70% of our electricity coming from gas. The state is well aware of that. ISO New England is well aware of that, and that's why they're making investments to make that transition. There's a Grid Modernization Advisory Council that meets regularly across the state, across sectors, to look for investments across the state to address those very concerns. I do work in decarbonization. I support facilities and vehicles to make that conversion to electric, and it is a challenge. There's investments that need to happen. There's technical assistance we need. But as others mentioned, that's what this funding is for. Either it's mandated on us a few years from now, or we act now and access that funding to get the assistance we know we are going to need eventually. And I'm saying all this not just as a concerned resident or as someone that works in decarbonization, but I'm also speaking as a new father. Our son was just born in August, and now I'm thinking about 2050 in the context of where he's going to be in 25 years. And he's going to be a 25-year-old. And when I was 25, I didn't know how to make ends meet, let alone how to deal with a climate-crazy world. So I hope that we can come together as a community and make positive changes that are challenging, they're transformative, but they're not just for us. They're for our kids. They're for their kids. And most of us won't be impacted by these changes, but our kids and grandkids very much will be. So I hope that we pass these articles, and I hope it's just the first step, and we all work together to implement those and take the next step after that to ensure that what we do is cost effective, it's good for the environment, and good for our community as a whole. So I'll be voting in favor.
Thank you. Yes.
Kathleen Brennan. Thank you. Okay. Kathleen Brennan, Boynton Road. I see that the Finance Committee does not recommend this. I was wondering if we could know why.
Would someone from finance like to speak, or chair?
Sure. Let me find.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
So we had a long discussion about this last spring, actually, and again this fall. And I am desperately seeking my notes from that discussion. Okay. So what we said coming out of that is that the benefit of this is it allows the town to apply for the large energy infrastructure grants in exchange for agreeing to the building and vehicle electrification requirements. We felt that the benefit was offset by the risk of increased construction and operation costs for buildings, commercial, municipal, and residential, the potential inability of the grid to handle the electrification this quickly, the potential increase in the cost of electricity, uncertainty in the federal grant climate, and the restriction of choice for town residents in their building.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Bill Collins. I live on Graylock Lane. I want to respond to what this whole question was about costs that people have to take on. I support these measures, and I do so as a new resident. I'll just read you some of the notes I have here about, why, in my particular case, I support it. Again, we live in a new construction duplex, which we moved into 4 years ago. I support this measure because of its requirements that new housing be wired for all electric function, even if gas heat and gas water heating is used initially, and gas stoves. I live in a new duplex unit development where the developer installed between 2017 and 2023 gas heat, gas water heating, and gas stoves without wiring it for all electric. And he installed it with each 100 amp capacity limit for each unit when the standard nationally is now 200 amps. Again, there was not enough oversight by the state and the town during that period. The problem with this flaw in the construction rate is it raises complexity and cost after the sale for individual unit owners as well as for the HOA. Now, I could go into the details about what I mean by that, but for example, we would like to go all electric and have electric vehicles, electric heat pump. We already have an induction stove, and then electric water heating. But the 100 amp limit, because it wasn't required, just would have been putting cable B in instead of cable A during construction. Now, in order to go to 200 amps, because it has underground wiring, they're going to have to dig up the yards all around the place and have a big fight within the HOA on whether that's even possible. And so there's these barriers built, even if we want to take advantage as individuals of mass save subsidies to get a heat pump, for instance, and to get an induction stove or whatever, or even the electric car incentives, which were just abolished at the federal level. But you want to have this stuff available because people want it, and especially for seniors like us, to have to go through the process of this, and this to retrofit a place where those costs could have been rolled into the cost of the mortgage, rather than have to dig into our pockets now, our limited incomes and Social Security, to pay for this stuff. You want to have these requirements up front so that the conversion to all electric is easy. And also, the town should be mandating a 200 amp limit for all new construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, I'm Alan Sweedland from Snowberry Circle. A few of the comments that I was prepared to make have been already made, and sometimes twice or more, so I'm not going to take people's time up in repeating those. I just would like to emphasize that we're talking about two things here that are very important. One is town costs and the opportunity to get more electric capacity and solar on our buildings, on our municipal buildings, and for homeowners, new construction. And the fact that as we go forward, we know these things are going to come into play by the state. We have to face the realities of climate change. And I believe it's in the town's financial interest not to throw away access to $1 million that can start reducing our town's overhead costs, especially since these are likely to become the standard building codes in the next few years. I urge you to vote yes on the article and seize the opportunity to reduce our town's operating expenses and work to a fossil-free future with funds from the state instead of from our property taxes.
Yes.
All right.
Hello.
Denise Mason, Lower Road, Deerfield. I'm speaking as a resident and also as the chair of the planning board. And I just wanted to let you know the planning board unanimously endorsed the citizens' petition to become a climate leader. We didn't see any negative impact on business or development. And Ashfield, Warwick, Shutesbury, Pelham, Amherst, East Hampton have adopted the specialized code. And I just wanted to applaud Emily for everything that she's done. I mean, she works in climate and has for at least 12 years. So I respect everything that she says and her due diligence in giving us the information. So thank you.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ava Gibbs. I live on River Road. I'll try to make this short because so many people have spoken and want to speak. I want to speak about the climate and about our earth, which is our home. We live here, and it's also our sustenance. And about the earth's beauty and about how we humans are totally intertwined with our earth and therefore our climate. I have to say, neighbors, it's not business as usual. You see with Hurricane Melissa, etc. It's pretty obvious that our earth, our home, is burning. This brings us multiple problems, and you all know that. I don't have to spell these problems out. Our use of fossil fuels has brought us to this. But it's very hard to change that. We're so interwoven with fossil fuels. They're the systems that we're embedded in. So there's a lot of fear of change, there's confusion, and there's denial. But change we must. change is the first principle of life on earth. When we resist change, we eventually suffer. So we need to accept change and use it as an opportunity for growth. So here's the state giving us such a good and reasonable deal to reduce fossil fuel use. This is an easy chance to do something to both help our town and help our earth, our home. I would like to quote the Pope and then Jane Goodall, who are far more eloquent than me. Okay, first, this is recent, practical, specific advice from the new Pope, Leo XIV. He spoke at a conference recently, convened to mark the 10th anniversary of his predecessor, Pope Francis, landmark document on the environment and climate change. Laudato Si. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Laudato Si. And our new Pope said, everyone in society, through non-governmental organizations and advocacy groups, must put pressure on governments to develop and implement more rigorous regulations, procedures, and controls. So that's our current Pope. And then secondly, we have dear Jane Goodall, who just recently died. She was renowned for her advocacy for the environment. So here's her quote.
I didn't want to interrupt the
I'm
Pope.
sorry, this is very short.
Yeah, but we are up against the 3 minutes, so please be very quick.
I'll be very quick. When we are on planet Earth, we are part of Mother Nature. Everyone on Earth has a role to play. Don't give up. There is a future for you. Do your best while you're still on this beautiful planet Earth. Your role here tonight, neighbors, is to vote yes on this article and on the next 2 articles. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir? You'd have to get in line and wait to be called. So, sir?
I am David Gilbert Keith of Old Main Street. I'm also chair of the Energy Committee, which has endorsed all 3 climate leadership articles. And I thank Ms. Gaylord, who's described them so well, and I'm very impressed with the quality of the debate tonight. Thank you all. All I would add from our conservation point of view is that moving away from fossil fuels is not just about carbon. It's about efficiency. To heat the same space, a gas boiler needs about 3 times more energy than a heat pump. For the same amount of energy, an electric car can go 90 miles to just 20 for a gasoline-powered car. Electric power does more work with less wasted energy. Speaking personally, I support the climate leader articles because I pay electric bills and I pay taxes. The projects climate leadership can fund will reduce the generation demand on the utility, which can help keep our rates less bad for everyone. As a taxpayer, I like the idea of reducing our municipal energy bill. It's currently around $300,000 a year, and we could cut that by 1/3 to 1/2 very quickly. Mostly, though, I support the articles because they are about hope. The hope that we can still recognize a problem and work together to try to fix it. I want to be able to look at my children without having to apologize that we smelled the smoke but ignored the fire. I want to be able to say, at least we tried.
Thank you. Mr. Gilmore?
So I think as a leader of the town, when I was elected, I tried to look at all aspects of votes I take. And many times I vote and I think of the unintended consequences. They show up later. I just want to, I guess, a little bit of clarity. It's not like we're not doing anything. This town has done so much in the climate realm. We have a massive solar field going on the transfer station. We were the first climate leader for construction. Our stretch code is extremely strict, and it keeps getting that way. I look at this vote a little bit, I agree with a clean climate. I agree with we need to make changes. But there are a lot of unintended consequences, and most people don't really understand how it affects people when they're building. I'm in the building industry. I've been in it 30 years. I talk with builders every day that are trying to build homes. We have a massive lack of housing. It's so unaffordable to build nowadays. A lot of that is climate, which is important, that we needed to make some changes. I think I just want to make sure that we still have liberty and people have the ability to make these decisions for themselves. I would much rather the state incentivize this instead of mandating it. I'm concerned that the state is constantly mandating and making it very unaffordable to build. If you have a dual use heating system, you now have to meet a 0 HERS rating, which is unattainable for most. If you're very wealthy, this isn't a problem. Most of the houses I see being built by fairly wealthy people and can afford it. But even them, there is a limit to what people can afford. So I would love to see more incentive by the state to people who are building, and not just put it all on an incentive for the municipality. We have done a lot. Each year we go for a green climate initiative grant, which the Energy Department leads and has done an amazing job to make buildings more energy efficient. So it's not like we're not doing a lot. I just feel like there needs to be some choice and some recognition that it is very costly to build and not a lot of help in that realm. So. And I will support however this vote goes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
James Cambius, Greenfield Road. I'm speaking as a homeowner and a resident. Last year, the People's Republic of China gave off 12.6 gigatons of carbon into the atmosphere. They added coal-fired power plants, increasing that amount by 876 million tons of carbon. The entire state of Massachusetts gives off only 67 million tons of carbon, which means we're 0.5% of China's emissions. And Deerfield is, I think, probably a fairly small drop in Massachusetts' bucket. What we decide here tonight will have absolutely no effect on the future of the planet. We should make our decisions based entirely on what is best for the town and its residents alone. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Vincent Russo, 5 Hillside. I'd like to call the question.
Okay. There's been a call to the question and a second, so at this point, all debate would be cut off. We're taking a vote at this point whether we want to stop all debate and move to voting on the question. So everyone understand what we're voting on? Just on whether to stop the debate, essentially. Takes a 2/3 majority to do that. So all those in favor of the calling the question?
Thanks, Mark.
All those opposed? The question is called.
That's it.
Yeah. Under the bylaw, Ms. Gaylord, you do have a moment to speak if you'd like before we vote, the way the bylaw reads.
Well, if the bylaw says. First of all, I just want to say thank you for such a healthy debate. I also want to make sure that we don't get stuck in what we currently know, and a lot of us are speaking from a place of personal experience. I understand things like baseboard heating can feel very expensive. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about new construction, high efficiency, wonderful systems. The other thing I just want to speak to is the expense. According to the Department of Energy Resources, it's actually $25,000 cheaper to build this way because of the incentives and avoided retrofit costs. So since I had the mic, I just wanted to leave us with some of that practicality. I also really want to echo, I think it was Ryan's sentiments about leaving this planet a little bit better. It's fine that maybe it's a drop in the bucket as far as climate impact, but this is our sphere of control and we should exercise it. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion as presented? All those in favor of the motion as presented? So we're voting on the motion.
I thought we were voting on calling the question.
No, the question was called and it passed by a 2/3 majority. This is a vote on the question. So there's no confusion. This is a vote on the underlying motion that was made by Ms. Gaylord initially. So debate is through and we're taking a vote on the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? We're going to have to count. So all those in favor of the motion, we're just going to do this section here so you guys can all rest for a minute. Thank you. You can, all those in favor in section 2? I'll do the table last. Middle section's all set. All those in favor in the far section? I'm sorry, I didn't do the front table, I apologize. The front table, all those in favor? All those opposed in section 1? So all those opposed? All those opposed in section 2? All those opposed in section 3? There's been some questions on numbers in the past, so I am going to announce my count was 172 yes and 221 no. The motion does not carry. Article 15, Ms. Gaylord.
I'll still give your kids Halloween candy. I move the town adopt the zero emission first vehicle policy.
Second.
So,
Ms. Gaylord?
This is a common sense policy that basically formalizes what we're already practicing. When a municipal vehicle needs replacement, you replace it with the most fuel efficient vehicle appropriate. For example, today we likely wouldn't consider an electric dump truck, but we already have hybrid police vehicles. In fact, police cars are exempt, but we've decided to purchase them anyway because they make fiscal sense. Other common exemptions cover vehicles over 8,500 pounds gross weight, or those with no viable zero emission alternative, such as certain public works, emergencies, or specialty vehicles.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Decker?
Mr. Moderator, I move we dissolve the meeting.
Ma'am.
Ann Buchanan, Snowberry Circle. I'm here today to ask you for your support for an important and straightforward policy. That is that we consider electric vehicles first whenever our town needs to buy or replace municipal vehicles. Transportation is one of the biggest sources of pollution in our community. Choosing electric vehicles helps us clean our air, save money on fuel and maintenance over time, and qualify for valuable state grants that bring funding back to our town. This policy means we consider electric vehicles first, choosing zero-emission options whenever practical. That is, we would not be required to buy electric, only when practical. Some departments in town have already seen the benefits of EVs and hybrids. I understand concerns about cost, but the cost of electric vehicles is coming down, and they actually cost less to maintain and fuel. Plus, state and federal incentives help with the upfront price. By passing this policy, which the Finance Committee has endorsed, our town will demonstrate real leadership in fighting climate change, becoming cleaner, healthier, and more independent. This is a smart choice and a key step toward becoming a climate leader community, which we can still do eventually, and being eligible for significant grant funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Yes, Dwight Manley, Lower Road. I've had these electric vehicles, for a number of years, different types, and I can tell you that if you need a vehicle to go to an all-electric vehicle to go to Boston in the middle of January on a cold, cold day, you might make it to Boston, but unless you get plugged in and fully charged, and good luck finding a charging station there, you are not going to make it home. It's cold. When they get cold and you turn the heater on, the power goes. So if you need a vehicle that's you're going to take everywhere, including to Boston and back in a single day, don't get an all-electric. Get one of the others. They work fine. You've got a backup with the gas system.
Yes, Ms. Gaylord?
Yeah, I just wanted to articulate, and I think this is why the Finance Committee supported this. It's very easy to get exemptions for this. Cost can be an exemption. What you were just describing, if a vehicle had to go to Boston and back, is an exemption. This is just saying we kind of go through the hierarchy of most fuel efficient to least when considering a new vehicle, which is practical. It's a pretty pragmatic measure.
Yes.
Charlene Galinsky, 342 River Road. I'm not going to speak long. I just want you to know that I also went to that information meeting, and in that information meeting, it talked about the zero-emission town vehicles. This is what it said. This simply means that we consider electric vehicles first, but we can purchase non-electric vehicles, and we are not required to replace vehicles. However, again, if you read what are regulations from the Department of Energy and Resources, it says specifically, all departments in the municipality must purchase only zero-emission vehicles for municipal use whenever such vehicles are commercially available and practicable. I think this is what I'm feeling with some of the comments that I'm hearing from the three groups that are promoting this. You're taking a little bit of liberty to say things that need to be checked. This says must. I don't think there's any question of any of us here. We have to try to buy electric first. I understand there are exemptions. I heard police cruisers might be exempt, and I know we have 2 hybrids, and I've talked to police officers. They love it. So, this is an extreme measure. This says must. That means your trucks for your highway department, anything that's municipal, will have to be electric. That's it.
Ms. Gaylord?
Once again, yes, when practical. It says it right on the DOER website. Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, Ryan Kingston, Eastern Ave. I'm just speaking again in favor of this article. It's common sense. Zero-emission vehicles, electric vehicles are often the most cost-effective over their lifetime, and having zero emissions is better for local air quality as well. Backed by the Finance Committee, and as an electric vehicle owner myself, it can be a challenge to drive to Boston in January, but I don't think many of our town vehicles are making that drive. And there are, in fact, charging stations to get you there. I've done it myself working in Boston throughout the winter last year. So I hope we can pass this one and see it in action and move on from there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just
Yes.
very quickly, Lori Baronis, South Mill River Road. There is a town that's around us. They wanted to send someone who worked for the town to a meeting. The meeting happened to take place in the middle of a big field. It was a soils test meeting. They were going to send them in the town electric vehicle. The electric vehicle wouldn't make it to the place where the soils test was happening and back to Greenfield, and so they had to deny the person to go. So that's one reason why I think we should take a second look at whether we want these vehicles in town or not. And the second part is, again, my family was in firefighting. It's very difficult to put out one of those fires.
Sir.
Lucas Grafton, Sand Gully Road. I make a motion to call the question.
Second.
Second. So this is just a motion on whether to call the question. We're not voting on the underlying motion, just whether to stop debate. All those in favor of calling the question? All those opposed? The question has been called, so there'll be no more debate. Ms. Gaylord, you're entitled to speak on the motion briefly.
No, thank you.
One way to get a vote.
All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? I think we have to count. I'm sorry. We'll make it quick. So all those in favor of the motion that was presented, section 1. You're all set in section 1. Section 2, all those in favor? You're all set. Section 3. Those opposed in section 1? Those opposed in section 2? The yeses are 179 and the noes are 182. So that motion is not carried. If anyone wants to question the count, there'd have to be a second, and 7 people would have to be in support of it. So. There's a motion that questions my count. If anyone would like to second that. There need to be 7 people that are in support of us going to some type of a ballot on it. So there is sufficient action to cause a paper ballot. So that's what we're going to do. The town clerk has come up with a process that we're going to use for counting. So
this will take a bit. Good evening. An alternative vote has been called and will now be executed. Please stay in your seats or where you're standing, and please refrain from loud conversation while your ushers work to reach all of you. An usher will approach each row and the folks standing in the back, on the left and the right, first, moving row by row. They'll ask that you show your flag in exchange for a paper ballot. You'll then be directed to come to the front and deposit your ballot into the ballot box and then return to your seat. If folks leave and come back during the vote, unfortunately, they will not be able to vote. So if you'd like to vote, please stay in your seats or standing. Okay, thank you so much.
yes. Thank you, everybody, for your patience in counting. After triple counting, the yeses were 202 and the noes were 204. Article 16, Ms. Gaylord.
Thank you for doing all of that.
Thank you, Cassie, and to our ushers and constables for doing that. And I'm sorry, and thank you.
Article 16, Ms. Gaylord.
Okay. All right, so this is, I have to make the motion. Hold on. All right, I move the town commit to municipal decarbonization by 2050 in accordance with state climate goals.
Is there a second? Ms. Gaylord?
So I think what's really critical to understand about this is just like when your kid comes home and you're like, I'm going to pledge to do 1,000 steps. That is the level of binding that this pledge is, okay? This is a non-binding pledge, a statement of intent that Deerfield will work to phase out fossil fuels in municipal buildings over roughly the next 25 years as systems naturally reach their end of life. There are no required retrofits or immediate upgrades. It's not enforceable, but it signals that we plan ahead considering efficient, cost-effective options when replacements are due. This also happens to align with page 19 of the DDIC plan that we all voted in tonight. So I thought that was really interesting. And it also aligns with the town's master plan, even as it's 25 years old. So thank you to the people who wrote that 25 years ago. And it's also aligns with the latest CIPC directive. So, CIPC, Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Thank you. Clearly, this is something that's of shared value to the town. The other thing I want to say here is it's non-binding. Also, we should want to do this anyway. This is the most cost-effective way to upgrade our buildings as things come to end of life. So this isn't saying hey, we're going to go into the elementary school and completely rip everything out and retrofit it. It's saying that as things age out, we're considering the least emissions possible in replacement. And that's already happening. We're seeing mini splits all over town. So non-binding pledge, hopefully not a ballot count, but we'll see.
Any comments or questions?
Hi, I'm M.A. Swedland. I live on Snowberry Circle. I would like to say that the Massachusetts legislature has made a commitment that the state will be greenhouse gas free by 2050. And I have a lot more points to say, but I'm going to skip to the last one because I'm tired and it's my bedtime. And it is that this pledge that we are making to the state to do our best to be greenhouse gas free by 2050 is just helping the state reach its goals. And it's, as Emily said, it's a pledge, not a regulation.
No, nobody's come to the mic from the door, right? So, we'll take a paper ballot on it. If there's no other comments or questions, oh, there is one, sir, briefly.
Stop talking.
The question is, no one's come to the microphone to call it, so we want to do something quick.
Yeah,
but,
that's about it. Let's call this ballot.
oh, you're good then. Yeah, have a seat. Yeah. There's been a call to the question, a second. All those in favor of calling the question, so we're not voting on the question, just whether to vote. That motion passes by 2/3 majority. So we're back to Article 16 on the actual motion. All those in favor of the motion as presented in Section 1? Section 1's all set. Section 2. So all those in favor of the question, Section 2. All those in favor of the question, Section 3? All those in favor of the question at the front table? All those opposed in Section 1? All those opposed in Section 2? All those opposed in Section 3? All those opposed at the front table?
That's what I was going to say. But... Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if it's off by one.
150 yeses and 147 nos.
Let's go home.
I make a motion that we adjourn. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.